What does Chernobyl look like now? Inside the Ukrainian disaster zone. Chernobyl has its origins in the Cold War and was the first nuclear power plant in Soviet Ukraine. The town of Pripyat was built around the power plant, meant to house nuclear experts, security personnel, and plant workers. The Soviets envisioned Pripyat as a model, nuclear city, where people flourished around nuclear industry and smart urban planning. On April 26, 1986, these dreams came crashing down. A technical experiment failed, and sent nuclear reactor 4 into meltdown. The structure blew up and it would take Soviet authorities a full day to order citizens of Pripyat to evacuate. Incredibly, Chernobyl released 400 times more radioactive material during the meltdown than did the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. Once the order was finally given, the entire town evacuated in 3 hours. Many first responders either died or suffered devastating injuries. The Soviet government spent the next 7 months trying to contain the nuclear fallout by erecting a metal and concrete shelter over nuclear reactor 4. However, reactor 4 had been leaking toxic fumes for weeks. The radiation spread throughout Europe, though most stayed in Ukraine, Russia, and Belarus. Eventually, in 1986, Soviet officials erected the city of Slavudik to replace Pripyat. 3 decades later, nuclear fallout still threatens humans in the area. Radiation levels have dropped to the point where scientists and tourists can visit Pripyat, though living there is still not recommended. Chernobyl restarted over the year after the meltdown, producing nuclear power until December 2000. Workers in the area are mandated to take 15 days of rest following 5 days of work, due to the remaining radiation levels. The Pripyat Ferris wheel was scheduled to open on May 1, 1986, just days after disaster would strike. Immediately following the disaster, 237 people suffered from acute radiation sickness. Some estimate that Chernobyl caused 4,000 deaths from cancer. However, these estimates are not necessarily accurate given the fact that the Soviet government tried to systematically cover up the extent of the problem. Some think that at least 17,500 people were intentionally misdiagnosed with vegetovascular dystonia by the Soviet Health Ministry. This also allowed the Soviet government to deny claims for welfare. A 2005 Chernobyl Forum report revealed 4,000 cases of cancer among children in the affected region. Thyroid cancer among children is considered one of the main health impacts. Chernobyl also sowed a seed of mistrust of medical professionals, which resulted in a spike in requests for abortions. Then Prime Minister Mikhail Gorbachev has said that the USSR spent $18 billion on containment and decontamination. This essentially bankrupted the already flailing empire. In Belarus alone, Chernobyl's cost in modern dollars was well over $200 billion. Given its environmental impact, billions have also been lost in potential agricultural yields. Most of these areas have since been restored, but require costly cultivation materials. Politically, the disaster also made the USSR quite vulnerable, opening up more dialogue between the United States and the Soviet Union, which would ultimately unravel in 1991. Furthermore, the disaster also incited a shift in nuclear and environmental policies. For example, Italy began to phase out its nuclear power plants in 1988. In Germany, Chernobyl caused the government to create a federal environment ministry. The minister was given authority over nuclear reactor safety, and helped galvanize the anti-nuclear power movement and its decision to end the use of nuclear power. Chernobyl-esque traumas have since continued, most memorably with the Fukushima disaster in March 2011. For this reason, government officials have called for the phasing out of nuclear energy. Some states still support nuclear fusion research, but its use in the future is uncertain as wind and solar power usage increases with every year.